With the newly acquired Josh Giddey, there has been a lot of people that have said, hey, Josh Giddey is going to be fantastic. There has been people that said, hey, Josh Giddey, I just don't know. And both sides, they come down and they got great reasons. But we haven't looked at it from the side of the Chicago Bulls, y'all. With the skill set of Josh Giddey, is it possible that the Chicago Bulls are hoping this is their Lonzo Ball 2.0? Some of you might say crazy, but let's go through the information. Let's talk about it and break it down. We're going to get to that, but you got to hear the music first. Cognac. Gang. Shy Boys Podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. If you're tuned in with me today, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Before I get started, I want to give a big shout out to everybody in Bulls Nation for the immense amount of support that y'all have been giving to us over here on this platform. We are now up to 6,300 subs in just over 2 weeks. It's been going crazy. So a special shout out to you guys. I continue to ask you guys to continue to support as the off-season content continues. But now I really want to talk about something that a lot of us hasn't really talked about. And I got to bring this to you. I'm going to present the information. We're going to break it all down together. And we really going to see, is Josh Giddey Lonzo Ball 2.0? Now, when we talking about it, when we talk about the makeup of each player. You talk about Lonzo Ball, you say 6'6", I believe about 200 and some pounds maybe at that long wingspan. It's about 6'9" wingspan. Hell of a shooter right now in his career. Hell of a defender right now in his career, and trying to battle back after missing the last 2 seasons with a serious injury to where a lot of us don't know if he's coming back. He has been cleared. We don't know what it's going to look like. But nonetheless, we talk about his abilities to push the ball up the court, his ability to defend, and then do some of everything that a lot of people love and believe contributes to winning basketball. Josh Giddey, this is the taller player with shorter arms. It's crazy, isn't it? Lonzo Ball is a shorter player with longer arms, but Josh Giddey is the taller player with shorter arms. Josh Giddey 6'8", about 215, 210, 215, maybe a little off there. You know what I'm saying? But wingspan 6'7", around there. A guy that's, versatile and what he can do in different things. Decent rebounder, can work on the defensive side, can get the ball up the floor, can score, can shoot a little bit, still working on that. But nonetheless, you kind of see where we going with this. As we see the similarities, we looking at both of these prospects and saying these are 2 big guards with a lot of skill. Some may be on the Lonzo Ball, so more than the Giddey side, or some more on the Giddey side than the Lonzo Ball side. But now we broke down that these guys are damn near relatively the same when it comes to the height, the wingspan, and kind of, the makeup. Lonzo Ball probably, before the knee surgery, you could say he was probably more athletic or kind of the same. We'll let that be the determining factor for somebody else, though. Now, how I want to break this down is pretty much I would like to go through what does it look like for both of these guys' career so far. I want to talk about both of these guys at their years when they were 21 years of age. Both of the guys for their 3rd year in their season, and how Lonzo Ball finally took that step up in year 4 versus, and kind of anticipate or hope to see what we can get out of Josh Giddey in year 4, because he's now in year 3. So we're going to start off with the go ahead. We're going to start off with the with our career stats. Now, if you're looking at the career stats, you see that Lonzo Ball clearly has played more games because he's the older player who has experienced more within the league. But if we're looking at everything, it's kind of going up and down. I think Lonzo Ball has the winning nod in most categories. But if you can see, Josh Giddey has more points, has more rebounds, not too far off from assists, probably a little bit off on the steals and the blocks. Field goal percentage is better. Obviously, Lonzo Ball 3-point shooting is better. Free throw goes to Josh Giddey. And we look at those things like that. So when we're looking at these type of players and we say so far for their career, the numbers are pretty much the same. Now, I want to go ahead and look at both of these young players when in their respective seasons when they were at the age of 21, because that's how old Josh Giddey is right now. We talk about that and we look at Lonzo Ball. He only played 47 games in the season that he was at the age of 21. That was his second year. This is Josh Giddey's third year at the age of 21 that we're going over and that we just previously went through, just so we can see the similarities and the differences. And at the age of 21, in year 3 for Josh Giddey, he pretty much edges out Lonzo Ball in every single category outside of assists and steals. And in that, he's not that far off at the age of 21. You know what I'm saying? Lonzo Ball had played less games, obviously, for injuries and other reasons. But Josh Giddey, in this form, in year 3, was a little bit ahead of Lonzo Ball in year 2. So it's a lot of people going to say, yeah, it's a bit unfair, but I want to go ahead and look at both of these guys' third season. So now Lonzo Ball in his third season is 22. This is still Josh Giddey's last season. Josh Giddey still has the better stats. And I know we're going through all the stuff, the information that's present to us. We will talk about play styles and everything else after this, but just bear with me for a little bit longer. So last year, Josh Giddey played 80 games. And then just, Lonzo this particular year only played 63. Giddey edges him out again in points and rebounds. Lonzo edges him out again in assists and steals and blocks. Right here is pretty much the same. But when we look at the field goal percentage, Josh Giddey is still up there. But what is one of the things that stand out the most between year 2 and year 3 for Lonzo Ball, now that it matches up with Josh Giddey? Lonzo Ball took a significant jump from the three-point line. I understand free throw percentage is down, BPM is down, et cetera, but this is year 3 for Lonzo Ball. We've seen a significant jump up from 30, I believe it was like 33, now to 37. Now, we looking at Lonzo Ball after some extensive work. My man's jumped up again in all his categories and pretty much leveled it out. Went to 14 points per game, 6 assists, and then that 3-point percentage has now equalized to him being a better than average 3-point shooter. Where Josh Giddey, we know last season he only shot 33%. It was a step up from the year prior, but we know he's stuck at 33%. So as we could go ahead and draw conclusions, we could look at both of these guys and pretty much saying they have some similarities when it comes to breaking down the statistics. Now I want to go ahead and talk about play style. We diving through this. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. We are diving through this. Look at it for what it really is. Now, when we break down play style, we talk about both of these guys' ability on the when it comes to passing. To me, personally, I believe Lonzo Ball is the better outlet passer. He's quick to get the ball up the court. He's quick. He's able to facilitate and operate an offense as long as, you know what I'm saying, the keys are given to him and he's able to operate within that. Now, when we come and talk about the passing in a half-court offense, I believe Josh Giddey has Lonzo Ball in that regard. But nonetheless, both of these guys are solid passing, big guards that can get things rocking and rolling for their respective offenses. Now, when we talk about driving on the offensive side, Lonzo Ball didn't drive that much, at least the last time we seen him in a Bulls uniform. However, Josh Giddey might not be the fastest. He might not have the most moves, but he's absolutely a better driver than Lonzo Ball if we keeping it a buck. He has a patent spin move and he attacks the basket with some physicality using his size and his strength. You give him a nod in that. When we talk about playmaking, we kind of alluded to it with the passing. These guys, they know how to play make. And I'm going to show love to both of them and not going to say who's better or who's worse. But I will say that both of these guys, if you are a cutter, they will find you. And Josh Giddey does that a lot, at least from the last 2 seasons that I've watched, sat down and watched the film, broke through this, went through this, and pretty much said, hey, both of these guys are really, really good playmakers. Now, shooting, we obviously give that edge to Lonzo Ball. from the 3-point line. When we talk about things in the mid-range, things around the basket, in the post and all those areas inside the paint, I got to get a nod to Josh Giddey. I'm not going to say that Lonzo Ball couldn't do it. It's just that it wasn't his responsibility to do it while he was a Chicago Bull. While Josh Giddey was a Oklahoma City Thunder, those were some of his responsibilities. He had his responsibility to shoot the three, even though he wasn't that good at it. He was a below league average, which is, I believe, is at 35%. But his jump shot in the mid-range was always solid. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to shoot a high volume of those, but the ones that he was taking, we were able to see positive results out of that. So both of these guys shooting, you take some and you pull and you give some back for both of these guys. When you talk about it, when you talk about the defense, let's keep it a buck. It's just not happening. It's just not close. It's just not close. If we watching the film, you see how Lonzo Ball, let's keep it real. Lonzo Ball came in a pretty decent defender, and he went up to basically, when he's healthy, to an elite defender, especially when it comes to playing team defense and on-ball defense as an individual. Lonzo Ball is solid. When you talk about legit 3-and-D point guard that you needed for the Chicago Bulls, Lonzo Ball fits the mold. Here's where it comes in with Josh Giddey, though. When we talk about the defense of Josh Giddey, we know it ain't that good. It's not the worst I ever seen, but it's not that good. When we talk about Josh Giddey's defense, I think a lot of it comes down to effort. I think a lot of it comes down to communication. I think a lot of it comes down to being in the right spot. Because if you watch some of the film from last season with the Oklahoma City Thunder, there were, especially in the playoffs, and we're going to get into that too, especially in the playoffs, it was a lot of things or a lot of situation or a lot of easy baskets given up by Josh Giddey simply because he was late on the rotations or clearly not in the spot or where he needed to be. And I think that's what makes Lonzo Ball such a great defender, was his communication and his IQ. I want to see if Josh Giddey can get there when we talk about the defense, but I really, really believe that since he's such a young player, he will be able to learn from what happened in his past playoffs and be able to improve defensively and offensively. Now, after we broke down the stats, when you compare them, we broke down the similarities and the differences with play style. Is it just me, or should the Chicago Bulls want Josh Giddey to be their Lonzo Ball 2.0? And if we're keeping it honest, this could be a little bit more revamped, a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to look exactly the same. But when you talk about a guard who can push the ball up the floor, a guard that can rebound, a guard hopefully can eventually get the jump shot, a guard that can attack the basket, who pretty much said in his words that he's a pass-first point guard, should the Bulls want Josh Giddey to be Lonzo Ball 2.0? Because Lonzo Ball didn't take away from any of the scorers or anybody on the team and was able to settle guys down when it mattered. Now, we know that Josh Giddey can come out and be a facilitator. We know that he can push the ball a little bit, push the pace a little bit. He will have some limitations, when it comes to shooting, but we know he can at least put pressure on the opposing defenses by at least attacking the basket. So should the Bulls want Josh Giddey to be Lonzo Ball 2.0? We know that Josh Giddey last his year 2, I believe he was like 16, 8-8 or something like that. In this past season, Josh Giddey was 12, 6, and 5 in 25 minutes per game. As an eventual starter that's playing 30, 35 minutes, he gives you 28 and 7. You live with that. You live with that. I understand it's going to be some people that's calling out, asking him for to shoot the three a little bit more, defend a little bit better, and things like that. But that stat line shows that he's going to impact the game in ways that most people don't on each and every night. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. There might be some pushback on this, but it is what it is. That's the point of having the entire discussion. We went through the stats. We went through the play style. We talked about, what person did what and how they can adjust. And I know that one last point, I know that some people was turned off by Josh Giddey this season and the playoffs, and rightfully so. If you're going over the season stats, you're looking at 12.6 rebounds, 5 assists, 25 minutes per game, right? So in that first series versus the Pelicans, Josh Giddey was pretty much still he was virtually the same player. He put 12.5 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. That was a dip off in assists, but virtually the same thing in rebounds and points. And he 26 minutes per game this time around. In that first series, you know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? His game 1 was pretty bad, but after that, he shot 50%. He shot 50%. So that was solid. He shot 50% from the 3, actually. You know what I'm saying? So he was hitting them, probably not at a high volume, but they were falling. So that's something that you could be like, okay, cool. He can go ahead and hit the shot and we Gucci. You know what I'm saying? So what really stuck out to a lot of people is the series versus the Mavericks. That's when Giddey dropped 6.2 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, 1.3 assists. But they mentioned the fact, or forget the fact, he only played 12 minutes per game. The highest amount of points, his highest total for minutes in that series was 17 minutes. Everything else after that was 13 or less. In part, that stuff was due to his own doing. I'm going to got to hold him accountable. His own doing for, again, being out of position on defense and not being able to knock down that 3 that was open to him that the Dallas Mavericks was giving him. And the coach over there for the OKC Thunder elected to go in a different route. He said, hey, I'm going to go with Isaiah Joe. I'm going to give more time to Wiggins. I'm going to give more time to Seneca Wallace. I'm going to give more time to these guys who can space the floor and shoot the 3 at a better rate than Josh Giddey. And you can't be mad at that. It's the playoffs. You can't just, put players out there. You gotta do things based on matchup, because the Mavericks, they was dicing their ass up. And with Gafford and Lively being on that court for the Mavs, if Josh Giddey not spacing that floor, that's closing up driving lanes for Shea. That's closing up driving lanes for Jalen Williams. So he had to move out of the way. And his limits were limited in part to him and because of the fit. Now, I know that's something that we're going to have to worry about for the Chicago Bulls. I hope that he's working his ass off this offseason and he's getting right. So we broke all those things down. We broke them all down. I don't know how we going to come to term with this. So will Josh Giddey beat Lonzo Ball 2.0? I'm going to leave it like this. I think there is a possibility, but we still have to see more. I know the numbers look the same. I know there's some similarities when it comes to play style, but as of right now, where I'm standing at is that I need to see a little bit more, even though I believe Josh Giddey, at least at the minimum, next season is going to give the Chicago Bulls 16, 8, and 8. That's what I believe that he's going to give them at a minimum. 16, 8, and 8. I think that's going to be around what his stat line looks like for next season. And we keeping it a buck. That's a better stat line than Lonzo Ball, even though what Lonzo Ball was given was much different than what Josh Giddey was given. So I think both players are very, very capable. And I left the discussion up to you guys. Do you think Josh Giddey can be Lonzo Ball 2.0? Should the Bulls want Josh Giddey to be Lonzo Ball 2.0? Is it crazy to say, or is it reasonable? We broke it all down. We gave all the information. You draw your own conclusions in there, but drop those conclusions right in the chat. Let me know if you agree with it. Let me know if you rock with it, and we're going to go ahead and keep it pushing. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. That's it from me today. I appreciate all the love you guys have been showing to us over here on Shy Bulls Podcast. We will be live later on today to talk about, can the Chicago Bulls, or are the Chicago Bulls contenders for a play-in spot this season? That's going to be the topic for the live later today. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel on your way out, and that's it. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure. Cognac. Gang.